Yep, it's time for part 3 of our appreciation of TSL Polt's awesomeness. I like to crank up my music when I'm on break, so I put in some headphones because I don't want to be rude. Oh, I did shut my door. Oh, did my roommates shut my door? Someone shut my door. Somehow my door is shut now. Let's do part 3. So in part 2, we got the chance to see the mid-game wrap-up from the first game, sort of how the setup alley-ooped nicely into the mid and late game. And here we see what might look, at an initial glance, like basically the same thing. But Polt, in reality, opened up with aggression long before he took his expansion. Now has not that many units, per se, right now, but has a lot of his key buildings done. In particular, these 3 reactors are finished, all due to his manipulation of his economy, focusing on spending gas early on for harassment on things like Vikings, Widow Mines, doing some medevac harass, conserving his minerals to be able to not just get this 3rd expansion, but more importantly to round out all these buildings. Yeah, there are 2 engineering bays, but this is not your traditional timing. Notice that these still have about 100 seconds to go, which means that +1 will finish at 12 minutes. And given that level 2 takes 3 minutes, we're not going to be there in time for a 14-minute push. And what do I mean by 14-minute push? I mean by this push, right here, 14 minutes. We will not be in time for that.
Your forces are under attack.
So TSL Polt looks like he's gearing up to do a lot more aggression, which is super cool, super sweet.
Your forces.
Oh, I think he's so elite. This mine back here managed to sneak its way in, do a little damage. We've done some mine damage, and in the units lost tab, it certainly does favor. But again, we're not always guaranteed to do that damage. The only thing we're really guaranteed is what we're doing back home with our buildings. Because we're being aggressive, we want to be favoring single medevac production to get our medevacs out a little more quickly. So that way we actually can do a push. Where's that combat shield? Oh my god, get the combat shield. Polt! Get the combat shield, it's so important. Okay, now, okay, I'm gonna come back. Okay, so right here, while we have, while we do have this tech lab coming out with STEM, notice 110 seconds for combat shield. This thing has about 70 seconds. If we start this right away, we will almost have combat shield done when we're pushing with 1-1. But if we let 40 seconds pass, combat shield is not going to be anywhere close. And that hurts my body. Either way. So Polt is rounding out his composition in a little bit more of a reasonable way. He's getting his just 1 factory, not 2. Why is that? Because he's looking to do more pushing now, as opposed to later, so he wants those barracks. I would like this factory if he was going for more of a 2-2 timing. But given we have these speedy medevacs, look at this really nice aggression. 1-1's done. Some harassing, some poking. We didn't really have these 1-1 timings as much as we did once we got our Ignite Afterburners. Good old rounding out of the composition. Let's go ahead and note some of the things that are missing in our rounded out composition. Yep, 3rd factory's 1. The other big thing are barracks with tech labs. We're missing that. We are also missing some starports for that late game. But with this nice poking, Polt has identified aptly what his enemy is up to. Roach Hydra.
Add-on.
So Roach Hydra does allow you to do a little bit more of this than obviously if you are against Infestors or Mutalisks. Mutalisks can cover the map a little better. Infestors just freaking goop them up and kill them outright. But we still want to have much more gentle pushes. Can't be too gung-ho. The whole point of Roach Hydra is that it's very fast, can surround you when you're not ready,
Mineral field depleted.
and really
Upgrade
sucks
complete.
at dealing with multi-pronged aggression. It sucks at engaging siege tanks. It sucks at preventing or dealing with a drop and a push at the same time.
Mineral field depleted.
In the way that Mutalisks are actually quite good at this. Mutalisk Ling can kind of pick this off
Upgrade complete.
swiftly, kind of pull back, and you have to be very good at your manipulation. This is obviously bad. Flying right over units. This looks horrific. This looks like the worst possible drop, but it is allowing Polt to do this, which is all he really wants. Easy peasy, fourthy squeezy. Even though our 2-2's late, don't hate the late. Going for it. Siege tanks are going to have to siege up a lot more slowly because the siege tanks are way more important in these fights than they are in the other engagements.
Add-on complete.
They're the real huge damage dealers. This is just a sort of recreational counterattack.
Ready for dust off.
Really nice, slow pushing. Slow, slow, slow. Hidey-didey-do.
Our SCVs are under attack.
Actually, now that I think of it, there's just not that much
Research complete.
new craziness happening here. This is just solid, good control. Has rounded out his tech lab production a little bit. Where is the other barracks with the tech lab? Here it is. I found him. So Polt is doing things slightly different in this game that we'll recap right now. Opened up very aggressively.
Under attack.
I'll actually note he opened up very aggressively with this Swift Reaper. Doing good economy management over the next several minutes. I want to go to the 8-minute mark. Yes, doing good economy management by focusing on gas-based aggression. All gas-based, all gas-based. He saved enough minerals to get up not just a third base, but also finish up his starport and get some barracks out. Lovely. By electing to delay his upgrades, by the time he was done with his 1-1 upgrades at the 12-minute mark, he was able to use the stim and 1-1 upgrades to be very annoying. Not to end the game, or to do huge damage, but to be very annoying to kill creep spread, which would be critical for his later push. And by rounding out his composition correctly, emphasizing buildings, when I say rounding out, he has this nice mix of Marine Marauder tank, and even though he is striking at the 16-minute mark, a full 2 minutes later than what a traditional ultra-fast 2-2 would be, all the aggression that Polt has performed early on makes it effectively the same amount of threateningness. Yeah, threateningness.
Are under attack.
You never want Marine Marauder to engage with Hydra without the tanks. But as long as you have a non-zero amount of tanks, then you win. Bam! Obliteration nation. Nice! I'd like to note, Hive Tech, not quite done. Voipas, day is not out yet. Now that they are out, there could be some blinding cloud stuff that can be annoying, but that's why we strike at the time we strike. And then we have the limbo line of the... That felt good. That felt so good. Let's go ahead and take Das Questiones. Oh, yeah. Ah, yes. Oh, yeah. Ah. Alright, so Prometheus009 says day 9 in daily number 549. Wow. Referencing the dailies. Excellent. Beastie Cutie doing Eminem and Eminem, Marine Marauder Medevac Mine. You were mentioning how Widow Mines could possibly be like Hellions, only maybe, and only getting maybe 4 to 8 to use as a transition into mid-late game. Do you think Polt basically put this idea into action? Ah. Let me see if I can crack my wrist. Sometimes I can't. Ah. So, I was saying in the daily number 549, as a concept, yeah, I think that the Widow Mines used as a transition to sort of go into normal play is an awesome one, in theory. But what excites me is it's not just that Polt is using this and saying, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to transition, and it's sort of... Shit, I need to explain that better. It's not just that Polt is going mines and then using it to transition. It's the way he's managing his economy that really excites me. Because half the problem is always... I would actually say only a quarter of the problem is making the statement. The other 3/4 of the problem is figuring out exactly how your economy times out. There's a lot of builds that are great, but people did not so well for a long time, so no one used them. I think very notably the 3 hatch before gas in Zerg vs. Protoss. People really didn't do that until Stefano started doing it all the time, and people were like, oh, all right, this is really safe. So that's what I really liked about this. Yeah, it does a lot of the stuff that was discussed in 549, but what's so much cooler is the way the economy worked. Let me, where is my question grabber? Alright, it's down right now. It's down right now. Thraxel says, Day 9, how does Zerg deal with the early pressure harassment that the Widow Mines do in the early game? Is the early detection enough, or would a couple rounds of Lings be enough to stop them with map control before they burrow? What do I think Zerg should do? I actually think that as a reference, Hyun versus Polt, Game 1, what we looked at Part 1 and finished up in Part 2, is a great example of the Terran trying everything he can to deal damage and the Zerg not really taking damage. I actually think that, like, less than 10 drones were killed off, and a lot of mines were really getting heavy into the action. I think another thing that's quite potent that I think has been underutilized is that if I'm a Zerg and I see someone opening up mines kind of in the way that Polt's doing, there's going to be zero direct aggression. It's all going to be annoying worker-based aggression, which means you can very easily start early upgrades and get a very early 4th hatch. In fact, 4th hatch before layer, whether it is good or bad, I will emphasize that it is safe. Imagine trying to get a very early 4th hatchery against a Hellion Banshee player. Well, now you have a little bit of a problem because you're going to have to rely almost exclusively on queens. You're not going to have Mutalisks out fast enough. You're not going to have... ouch. You're not going to be able to... well... yeah, I mean, a lot of the reason a lot of Zergs are taking up to layer so fast is so they have some way to hit the timing, like right after the guy's gone Hellion Banshee, but before he's gotten his defenses up. That's really tough to deal with. So if you go for 4th hatch in that circumstance, you're kind of missing out on that timing window. But still, if you're going up against mines, you're ultra safe, like ultra safe. Your 4th hatch, I mean, it's not... You'll never have a Widow Mine go in there and you'll be like, oh, God, dude, I really needed faster Mutalisks to be able to deal with that mines. I really need faster Infestors. I mean, you'll need detection and you'll need to have a good eye on the minimap. So, 4th hatch, maybe taking of another expansion right away. Maybe, hell, actually taking another expansion before layer could be a really neat possibility. Huh. Let's take one more question. I don't know, those are all my thoughts. Those are all largely speculative, but that's sort of how I would begin approaching it. Also, yes, for the not the immediate week after the Heart of the Swarm launch, but the week after that, I will not be doing any multiplayer analysis. I'll just be streaming myself playing the single player. It's gonna be good. I'll be doing a lot longer streams too. I'm so friggin' excited. Because I go Heart of the Swarm launch, then 2 days, then MLG, then a couple days off. So just transitioning right into single player after that. You should come to MLG Heart of the Swarm, by the way. It's in Dallas. Yeah. Alright, I got distracted. Where is my chat? Okay, let's take just a single question. Well, people are talking about all sorts of crazy stuff. Nothing about the game. At least nothing. My chat's already scrolled up, so I already missed the early ones. Feel free to restate your question, by the way, because I've missed out on them early ones. Juhali says, what if Zerg goes for infestors? I will note, everything still stays basically the same. All these pushes with 2-2 with Marines and tanks have been tested, tried, and true in Wings of Liberty against the very strong infestor that doesn't shoot the projectile and all that good stuff. So now that the infestors have a worse projectile, if he did do it, at the very least, we're going to do as well as we did in Wings of Liberty, which is pretty damn well. I'd be excited if he went infestor, honestly. And against Swarm Host, don't have a damn clue. Done! Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to eat a burrito, and then I'm going to go record more King of the Beta games tonight. I will have completely recorded all the round of 8 games. That is the trumpet of excitement. This is a trumpet. It's a trumpet. Starting next week will be the King of the Beta games. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. Is there anything else? I think that's it. Have a great day. Cheers.